tears would not subside. And from the arms of grace I knew that all suffering could cease if we could rest in this embrace, if we just trusted in this peace. To even try to find the words can be a sacrilegious thing. So I'd just as soon be silent. But I said that I would sing.
What a beautiful song. That was Kirtana. And I met her in somewhere in California. I met her at a Franciscan abbey at a retreat and had a real miracle with her. So she's always going to be one of my favorites. Kirtana, Kirtana. Beautiful music. And right now it's time for Dana Banana. We've been listening to Kirtana. Now we're going to hear Dana Banana.
Hey, Lynn. Hey, everybody. Happy
Go right
Friday.
ahead. Yes, you're fine. You're on.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. And I guess I'll start. I always forget to start with some kind of a prayer. And I guess it's because the last couple times, maybe not last week, but a couple times before, I started with a song and just forgot. So I just want to say a very, very simple opening invitation. Holy Spirit, use this hour for your purposes. Use me to express your truth, the truth. And I hope, and I'm working on it, that one day I will not see you as a you. Amen. And so I woke up this morning. I guess if I were to title what I would probably talk about today, it would go something like, when life feels like it's against you, forgiveness at the core level. And I've noticed this week that this whole life is against me kind of thing has been a core theme in my life. And it really wasn't until just recently that I actually started to really notice that. I mean, it has always been there. I have read the part in the text, about beware of the temptation to consider yourself unfairly treated. It's the ego's, it's one of the ego's biggest, most cherished tactics, insofar as kind of keeping us in this mindset, in this thought system. And I guess as far as layers go, you see things and you might even realize, oh yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to that thought, or I can relate to this belief. It's just sometimes it comes and it hits you and it's like, wow, I've known this, but I'm really feeling this right now, right? So it's like, perfect example, I woke up this morning and it was like I just happened to have been awake at around 6 o'clock in the morning, just woke up. Of course, I went back to sleep because that's just a crazy hour to be awake for me, even though I would love it if I could do it naturally and not feel like falling back to sleep an hour later. But like every morning, I just noticed the presence of thoughts. And the thoughts had to do with just things I was annoyed with, right? So it was like my husband had rolled over and said something, and I took whatever it was that he said as an opportunity to kind of offer a retort, which was kind of demonstrating that, yes, you've been wrong in this other way too. And he proved what I said actually to be wrong. And I noticed this defense mechanism rise up within me. Now, again, all of this is like 6 o'clock in the morning. And this entire thing just went on. And throughout the last couple of weeks, especially after having listened to a Keith Kavanaugh video, and I'll talk about that video sometime during this hour or 45 minutes or however long it is. I don't even know it's 1:43. I'll mention that because it was such a pivotal, again, just I know what to do. I know what the forgiveness is, and I practice it all the time. But there was this one line that he said that really clarified it for me. It was like having an epiphany all over again. And in this case, it was like I caught all of these feelings coming up to the surface, that, oh my gosh, I feel so small and weak and ridiculous. And I've just been told, I'm wrong. And it's like, but then before that, it's like, well, how did I wind up in this position? Oh, it's because he said something. And then something in me, before I had even realized what it was, just needed to prove that he was wrong about something and I was right about something. And then he corrected me. And none of this was even mean or anything, right? It was just he had corrected me. And how small and stupid I felt, right? And it's like all of this went on in the matter of maybe a few seconds. I don't even think it was 30 seconds that this entire thing took place. And again, all of the thoughts. And then it was like, look at me. I have already bought into this story, right? This entire thing, this need to prove myself right about something that I didn't even really understand. And as it turned out, I was wrong. Look at me speaking too quickly, trying to prove some kind of point of view to be bigger than I felt at the time. And just this entire thing went on. And I noticed it and recognized this is a story and I don't want to buy into the story. And then I fell back to sleep for, I don't know, another hour or two or whatever. All right, got up and I could feel the thoughts kind of starting to happen again because this is what usually happens. I'm sure other people can relate. I know I can't be the only one whose mind gets flooded with negative thoughts before they even have an opportunity to really look at them. So again, it happened. Walked into the other room, I get my coffee ready, and it turns out that the internet was out again. And it's been happening a few times over the last month. And I swear, between the internet going out for whatever unknown reason, and then, of course, my being concerned about the reaction to it, maybe on his part, because he can get frustrated too. And then I'll take on that reaction. And all of this, I saw it. It didn't take very long for me to see it. It was like, this is all meant to again, sort of hone in on that belief that life is unfair to me, right? Yesterday, I had to go to the dentist because I've been having a little bit of discomfort in a couple of my teeth. I tend to clench. I wear a mouth guard. And other than that, I'm extremely conscientious of how I take care of my teeth, and the whole reason for it. And I can even see like that underlying belief and guilt as well. If I don't take care of my teeth, I'm going to, it's as though bad things will happen, right? I'll wind up with more complicated dental visits. I don't know, all kinds of stuff. Over time, the teeth need more care. And so I've been taking more care of them. And at this point, it's like I shouldn't have needed to go to the dentist anymore. I'm up to date with everything. I just had exams and stuff this year. I just had my cleaning done last month. And yet I'm still having some problems with it. And it's all because of this pressure that seems to be in my jaw, which I think I've kind of noticed has to do with control and just this inability to let go of that control. So it's coming out in pressure in the jaw. So, which is contributing to the clenching, which is contributing to the problems that I feel like I'm having with my teeth. And so I go to this dentist. It's a new dentist, and the treatment plan for what appears to be wrong when it's all said and done would be, I don't know, about $2,800. Thankfully, none of this really needs to be done right now. I would need to get another crown on another tooth because another tooth seems to have a couple of hairline fractures in it because of all of this. I got back in the car. Now, nothing wrong with the dentist, nothing wrong with the dentist's office, but I got back in that car and I felt furious, right? I was so freaking mad because, again, that belief, life treats me unfairly. I am a victim of these circumstances. And even when I try to do everything I can possibly do to do things right, to treat my mouth, to treat my teeth with respect, I'm still getting punished for it. And oh yeah, life just wants to drain as much money out of me as it possibly can. And, even wanting to blame the previous dentist, oh, they should have caught this. I just had exams and x-rays done back in March. How could they not have caught this? I mean, I've been using the night guard since March. So, it's not like it could be a new crack in the tooth or anything like that. And on top of it, I have one other crown because the tooth underneath it had cracked for the exact same reason, clenching. And how at one point, it had popped out earlier this year and he had put it back in, but it was too high and it was setting the bite to be off. And so just really everything in my mouth was like not feeling right. And it was actually getting kind of scary to even try to eat because I just felt like I don't know what these sensations are anymore. So I wanted to be mad at them too. And as I'm feeling these feelings, right? Rage, such rage, there was this other part of me that seemed to be quietly hanging out in the background, just knowing, you don't want to blame the other dentist. You don't even really want to blame life. You know that you don't even really want to blame this story. But this story is meant to bring these feelings to the surface so that you can look at them and practice forgiveness on them. And I can't, it's not like any of the circumstances have necessarily changed, but in recognizing that the story is just the story and it's meant to bring this stuff to the surface, it was very powerful and it was very helpful in that situation. And after even this morning, waking up with the negative thoughts and feeling that role come back up in me again early this morning of I'm stupid and I say the wrong things and I get put in my place for it, proven wrong, and then I feel like an even bigger idiot, and I could see this whole attack defense cycle starting up and how insane it is. And how important it is then to kind of withdraw from all of that and just go, I don't even know what this is. I can see that it's a recording of sorts. I'm supposed to play into this story. I'm supposed to believe it all exactly the way it's playing out. And if I did not pay attention to it in this manner, right? If I didn't look at it and recognize it, thankfully, because of A Course in Miracles, for what it is, I would get lost in it. And then I would get distracted. And then it would go back into the unconscious mind where it would just come out again at some other point, but this time unhealed within me and unhealed within the one mind, right? So this quote that helped me to kind of snap back into recognizing what things are. It comes from Keith Kavanaugh, and it comes from his video that he did, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago. I think it's called Forgiveness 101. And if you guys want, I will look for it at some point and I'll put it into the chat or I'll send it to Lynn. But it's pretty easy to find on YouTube. Just Keith Kavanaugh, 101 Forgiveness 101, and you should see it there. So this is the quote. So this is the quote. And just FYI, I don't normally take notes at this point when I listen to videos or anything because it's pretty labor intensive to have to keep going back and replaying it and writing and replaying it. But this was too important not to write down. So this is the quote. Absolutely everything that happens in your life, you wrote it so you could blame it for the reactions you're having to it. So again, absolutely everything that happens in your life, you wrote it so you could blame it for the reactions you're having to it. And to take that, which is just a very simple way of describing what I feel A Course in Miracles is basically teaching us, which is, hey, you're in your second dream of oblivion here, right? You've got these two dreams. Ken talks about the two dreams and how the first dream is the guilt in the mind and how to deal with the guilt in the mind. The second dream provides the world and peoples it and situations it and everything like that, and how we're supposed to blame everything in this world for the contents in the mind. And so this quote, again, it stops me personally, stops me in my tracks. Not that I wasn't doing it. I practice this all the time, but there's just something about hearing something phrased a different way that can be very helpful sometimes. So basically, that has been my practice for or the theme, I would say, like for the entire week, right? So far, this desire to believe that I could be unfairly treated. It keeps me in that victim mentality, small, weak, bullied, right? And as far as what to do about that, I know that the ego loves it. And it's all about, I call forgiveness kind of the grunt work. It's like the part of this path or this process, it seems for me, you go through this phase very similar to like a Groundhog Day, right? I can see why Groundhog Day would be such an important theme in spirituality, because it's like every single day, these small little things, whether they're thoughts that you buy into or seemingly unfair things that happen in life, or a way that maybe you've been spoken to by somebody, or, it could really be anything. And how every single day, these just provide these opportunities to allow up all of the stuff that we've been hoarding back there unconsciously, unknowingly in the mind, and to bring it to the light of forgiveness and allow that love, that Holy Spirit love, that pure, perfect, all encompassing, no opposite, pure innocence, that love to look on every little thing that I have made, to use it to block my awareness of this presence of love. And it's not glamorous, and it's incredibly repetitive. And it's not even something that, unless I'm talking to another course student, or unless I'm, sharing in this Friday afternoon gathering, or, maybe a different gathering that I would go into, it's just not really something you even talk about, right? It's grunt work. To me, it's like grunt work. It's like every single day. It's just the same thing every single day. Maybe day by day, I'm peeling this tiny little layer, and exposing the next one. And then that next one comes out, and you expose that, and you bring it to the light of forgiveness. You give it to the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit takes it from you. And again, it's the next day, and every single day, it seems like nothing is changing. It seems like the body is still doing what the body is going to do. The people are still doing what the people are going to do. Life, the finances, the squabbling between people, the politicians, the everything, they're all just going to continue to do what they're going to do, because life is going to life, as Keith would put it, the world is going to world, people are going to people. And it's all meant to do the same thing. And then, of course, I don't know about you guys, but there's that frustration on my part of doing this every single freaking day. Oh my goodness, this feels like trying to eat right and work out with hypothyroidism. You're putting all this effort in and you're getting absolutely nothing out of it. It's totally not true, but it's just this way that the ego, that this thought system, wants to make it seem like it's not working. I have noticed over, I don't know, the last several months, how much I depended on physical proof, like proof in the physical world, proof in the dream that this work that I'm doing, which is like all day, every day at this point. And it's pretty much in my awareness all the time. I can't really think of a time during the day at this point that I'm not somehow plugged into doing this, right? Even if there's nothing to forgive, it's like I can still detect the guilt of not having something to forgive. So it's like even that is a forgiveness opportunity, right? It's all a story. Every single second, every single millisecond of it is just a story. But it's like every day, looking for that proof. And I'm finally realizing, like, I don't know if I actually need proof. I don't know anything. And what would proof even do for me, right? What would that even do? And that if I wasn't going to sit in all of this doubt, then I could probably and very realistically and honestly say, I just don't think the way I used to. I don't see anything at this point the way I used to. Honestly, that should be enough proof for me that this course works, right? That very slowly over time, there have just been some noticeable, but only if I take the time to notice, changes in the mind that are probably not apparent to anybody else. From the outside, I look exactly the same. I probably act exactly the same. I say a lot of the same things. But I know that in my mind, every single problem that comes up has an entirely different meaning. And I don't even know what the actual meaning of it is, other than I know it's a story, right? And just in all of that, that has changed and it should be enough. Never mind, when you read in, like, say, Gary's book, or, I've heard it in other course discussions and so on, that you really have no idea how the forgiveness process is helping, right? Like, I could have a forgiveness thought that might help somebody off in another country, or it could be helping another version of me in a different timeline or a different lifetime, so to speak. And of course, just the one mind. So just this is, like I said, this is just pretty much kind of been the theme through my week so far. Just a lot of the ego's frantic rantings, going on and on and on, and me feeling like it's all very believable content for about, I don't know, a minute, and then it's like, oh yeah, this again, right? So it kind of, the core pattern, because for this particular life is unfairly treating me. I am the victim of life's bullying or cruelty, or even just tricking me and stuff. I can recognize this has been a core belief, and if I were to look back over my life, which I have, I could see it in the background of absolutely everything I have ever thought and ever did. So it kind of goes by, there's the trigger, that small, random, or neutral event. It's neutral in itself, doesn't seem neutral for me. It could be, the thing at the dentist, or even just the internet going out this morning, right? The story spins up, it always happens to me. I can't win. And then, of course, the I must deserve this, because I noticed that one back there too. That's a fun one to recognize. And then, of course, comes that emotional hook, that anger and that powerlessness and that resentment and all the good things that go along with that. The reaction, which in my case could be defensiveness, overthinking it, withdrawing, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the ego gets its payoff. It keeps the me versus the world identity alive. It just continues to promote that feeling of victimization, that feeling of separation. And then, of course, it's not my fault. Right. So before I were to go on, let me just check. Oh, there's 8 in the chat. Okay. Lynn, you chose a body. It is temporary. Yes. And Dove, it is so nice to see you here. That's a really good teaching, Dana. Thank you so much. Yeah, and then you had put lost, distracted, and yeah, it is so easy to get lost and distracted in all of this. Okay, Lynn, we love Keith. I play him every day. Yeah, I absolutely love his stuff. Dove, text chapter 21, section 2, responsibility for sight. Everything that happens to me, I have asked for and is happening exactly as I have asked. And feeling unfairly treated, God is unjust. Yeah. And that section in the text, I think it was a couple of years, it was in my first year of being a student of this course. When I read that, so I actually felt relief, right? Of course, there's always that part of a person that might be, of course I didn't ask for this. What are you talking about? But I actually recognized it. I recognized it as an opportunity to stop blaming things on other people. Like I remembered when that had actually come into practice for me. I was having a conversation with somebody close to me and they had made a decision about something and I felt unfairly treated by the decision they made. And then suddenly, it's because I had actually written those words down in a notebook. And because I had written them down in a notebook in my journal, it was like I remembered it and I went back and read it. And I even read it to them. I was like, I'm supposed to be mad at you. My first instinct is to be upset about this, but let me show you what I'm learning. And I actually had read that out to them. And it was just one of those, thank you, thank you. I might not remember that this was what I wanted, but if I'm getting it, it's because I want it. And that means it's up to me to change my mind. Thank goodness, because I really can't stand feeling like I need to change other people or other things. It's just, I can't speak for anybody else. And I know I have spent years of my life, trying to avoid responsibility, of course, everybody else is wrong. At some point, I recognized the attraction, that secret attraction, like that battery needs to be charged by blaming other people. I had never at that time realized how exhausting it is. I mean, and it's exhausting. Wanting other people to be different so that you can be happy has to be the most labor intensive waste of energy I think I have ever, ever, ever spent time on. And so I'd rather it be my thing, right? And I don't mean in a blame way, but more in a it's just up to me to choose differently kind of way and just do it over and over and over again. Lynn had put like Sisyphus, and I can't say for sure because I don't know what that means. Mickey, did Dana start early? Yep, yep. And then Dove had re-put the chapter 21.2 about the responsibility for sight. And then he put, deceive yourself no longer that you are helpless. Acknowledge you are mistaken and all your mistakes will disappear. Yes, I am cause. I do this to myself. The secret of salvation. I am doing this to myself. And as I had mentioned, you'd figure that would be a difficult thing to admit, but I actually do not find that to be a difficult thing to admit anymore. I'm thankful for it. I don't want this to be anybody else's fault. At this stage of things, I want the responsibility, right? I want to be the one to recognize where I have another choice and to withdraw blame, that finger pointing, that I need you to be different, that that need to control. That need to control is what's putting this pressure in my jaw, right? This is a physical manifestation of something in my mind, that clamping down. I need to be in control. I need to be the one to do this. And just letting go of all of that is such a blessing, but it is constant work every single second of every single day. What is showing up in front of me? How does it make me feel? What is this reaction telling me? Can I let this whole thing up? Can I welcome the whole thing in? Can I accept that this is here and it's not here to mess with me? It's not here to punish me. It is simply here because I have taken it and I've stuffed it back there. And now it is time for it to show itself so that I can look at it. I can bring it. Dana can't look at anything with love, but that Dana can bring it, choose again. Dana's character here, she's choosing again. She chooses the truth. She knows she's not the one that can dispense any truth. In fact, Dana's part of the dream. She's part of the illusion. But can I use this one and only aspect of free will to simply choose the truth? Bring it to the Holy Spirit. Tell this thing it's safe, whatever it is, whether it's a tooth issue or a dentist issue or an internet issue. I am seeing this wrongly. I am seeing this story. And in whatever beliefs that want to come up, I am open to all of them. I'm open to seeing everything. You are safe here. And if you'd like, I am willing now to release you. I am willing to release what I've made of you in exchange for the truth. And you do that often enough. And at least for me, it doesn't what it does for me is it makes me recognize that there's just one goal. This is probably one of the more difficult aspects of being on this path for me, is recognizing that I no longer have any goals, right? And I really do not have any goals anymore insofar as anything. There had been a time, and especially I think because I had been in the health and fitness industry, for several years, that healthy living, healthy eating, all of that stuff was important to me. And if I was in, kind of a ho hum or a glum place or whatever, I was able to really kind of look at the whole healthy food thing as this uplifting activity to get into. Unfortunately, it has lost all meaning to me, right? Everything has lost all meaning to me at this point. So I'm kind of just sitting here now, and it's like no goals, no real meaning. I'm not looking to give anything any more meaning. I'm only interested in this point in allowing whatever meaning I've given everything and anything to come up so that I could simply bring it to the light of truth and allow it to be healed and allow this to be undone. And so every single day, nothing really has any meaning to me anymore, right? And it feels like a crazy way to live. I mean, it's like, then what is the purpose? I mean, I remember in late 2007 was like maybe this sort of call to awaken, and the thing that I couldn't deal with was, if everything I'm hearing is true, then that means that nothing actually has any meaning. And if that's the case, what's the point of getting out of bed every day? I couldn't handle it at that time. So I kind of voluntarily went back to sleep for the next, I don't know, 4+ years until this came back up again. Um, and then I started to withdraw meaning from things. Started to kind of realize that, oh, all of the meanings that I had placed on things, or all of the meanings that I thought were real, turns out they're not quite true. Now I'm at a place of none of it has any meaning, and there's only one thing to do every day, and it's just the one goal, all day, every day, and that's it. There is nothing else. And so that's where I am. So I will open this up. If anyone has anything they want to contribute, you are more than welcome to. And if not, then that is perfectly cool. I'm going to go into a quick discussion of a show that I watched, an episode of a show that I watched, and how I felt like it was actually just kind of talking right to me. So, all right. Well, you guys know if you have anything that you want to say, you can raise your hand. And has anybody here ever watched that show Lucifer or even heard of it? All right, I will take that all the time, Lynn, to everyone, all the time. So you've heard of that show? Your favorite? Okay. It's not a show that I actually had really ever thought I would get into. Hang on, somebody else put something in the chat. Okay, Bob, not you. All right. And Mickey, heard of it but haven't watched it. And then Lynn put, okay, and The Sandman is great too. All right, I'll have to check that out. Anyway, the thing about this show Lucifer that I was realized I was kind of interested in was just this whole premise of, all right, Lucifer, this this commander of hell, so to speak, decides that even he's sick of this shit and wants to go to Earth and kind of be a part of humanity. Like even he's kind of tired of his role as this tormentor and this place of hell, and he wants to go be a part of society and see what it's all about. I thought it was kind of interesting. But anyway, there was an episode last when I was the last one that I had watched, and basically, it's season 2, episode 13. It's called "A Good Day to Die," right? And to me, it's a scene that kind of perfectly captures this unconscious guilt playing out as though it's real. So Lucifer is in love with Chloe, and Chloe is sick. She's been poisoned, and Lucifer gets the idea, he's got to die so that he could go to hell, so that he could get this formula from this professor with the antidote to the poison that this professor had put in her. But so anyway, he goes, he does what he's supposed to do, and all he needs to do is go get this formula and then not get trapped off in these other doors in this. It's really a place in the mind, but in this hell. So anyway, of course, he sees a door, it's cracked open. His curiosity gets the best of him, so he decides to go in it. All right. So it's like what he winds up doing is he sees his brother there, and in real time in the show he had killed his brother, and this guilt is constantly playing out in his mind. Like you don't really see this in the episodes that have followed him doing this. Instead, it's playing out in this scene while he is in hell trying to save his love, right? Over and over and over again he keeps replaying this murder. And as it's happening, he's like, he's like crying. He's like, I can't help myself. I don't want this. I didn't choose this. Over and over and over. And again, in the meanwhile, even the brother, that he's doing this to was like, I'm just a hallucination of your subconscious, of the guilt that's in your mind. Like even the brother is saying, I'm not even really here. You're just replaying your own guilt here. But the mesmerism of it, that need to be guilty was so strong that even as this character is being told, I'm a hallucination that you keep killing, right? I'm not real. I'm not here. He could not get himself out of it. So, anyway, Lucifer's mother, kind of realizing that she's going to need to go save him, also goes to hell. And as she's saving him, she gets caught up in her own guilt, right? Her own guilt of having abandoned this son there. And so Lucifer, finally having snapped out of it, he winds up having to drag his mother out. And it kind of just goes to show, how to me, it was just a perfect, perfect representation of how we continuously replay our own guilt, and we don't realize that the contents in the world are that second dream of oblivion, that second shield of oblivion, that they're hallucinations made real by the mind to just continue to replay this guilt over and over and over and over again. And until we are able to step back and take a look at all of that and finally admit, just like what Dove had put into the chat, I'm doing this to myself. And I can't change the guilt. I can't even change the way I feel about the guilt, but I can change whether or not I'm willing to let it go and hand it over to truth, which is Holy Spirit. So, to me, that is what Course in Miracles would call the hell of unconscious guilt. It's just this self imposed loop where we mistake this story for reality and we keep reenacting it, we keep defending it, and then we suffer from it until we choose to question it and then choose again. So, the only way out that I have noticed only through practice is that willingness. Even if I can't see it as anything else, it's just that willingness to see it as something else and to allow Holy Spirit to reinterpret it. And I had also found that one of the ways that resistance, I guess, would come up, and I believe that this would come up just to sort of reinforce the belief in doubt, because doubt has been another core belief that kind of keeps me trapped off in this loop, um, is that, okay, I will admit I absolutely cannot see this thing any differently, right? Like there's just no way for me at this stage, at this place to be able to see this any differently than the way I see it. And in fact, if I try to gloss over it or throw some kind of principle, course principle on top of it, or spiritual, I don't know, saying or whatever, um, I won't, it's not going to do anything to like replace what's underneath it. I have to let what's underneath it up. And I can't replace it. And I can't put anything kind of fluffy over it. I can't try to reinterpret this myself at all. It's really just a simple matter of I can't take this negative belief and try to put a positive belief on top of it. It's not going to work. The problem is the coin, right? It's not which side of the coin I'm choosing. It's the whole coin, and I want to be done with the coin, kind of like they said in the Matrix, there is no spoon, there is no coin, right? So it's not about trying to replace one belief with another, or a bad thought with a more positive thought. This is a simple matter of, no, I can't see this any differently, but I'm willing, right? I'm in this state. I feel the way I feel. I can't seem to do anything about it, but I am willing to bring it to the truth, and that has been like everything for me. So that has sort of been my week so far. Let me see. Robert said, 40 years ago, a dear friend of mine would go to movies together. And yeah, they would go to movies together. She always managed to see the spiritual insights that I was totally blind to. From that point, I learned to look deeper into movies and find spiritual insights. Recently, I've written analysis of about 30 movies and viewed them through the lens of ACIM. It's been a real experience. All of these reviews are on my website with all my essays as well. Yes. Um, I I know that I'm not the only one who's used movies and television for this way, and I know David Hoffmeister has like a huge library. That's the Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment. I think it's MWEG or something, or MWGE.org or something, and he's got like all of those movies and several videos about these movies as well. And the funny thing is I didn't really try to start watching movies for this purpose, but I found that it seems that without trying, I can get things from watching TV and movies and stuff that you wouldn't even think about. It's as though nowadays I can watch one of these things and a line will come out. And in this case, in in this particular episode, it's like a whole scene can come out, and I feel like it's being almost specifically told to me, like it was specific for me, right? So, movies and TV, and for years, I had actually gotten rid of that stuff. I did not watch any TV as far as I was concerned. It was television programming that was just meant to program the mind and get you to kind of blindly go along with whatever was going on the screen. Um, Now I look at this stuff from an entirely different point of view. It's not just entertainment for me. I'm actually seeing like the human condition um, being played out in what seems to be underneath people's choices, what governs their behavior, everything. And it is absolutely fascinating. And it still always comes back to the same thing. What is this showing me? Right? What am I really seeing here? And I think I had mentioned in another talk that I had given here, even something like a sitcom, where maybe one of the characters just annoys the crap out of me or something. And it's like at one point I would have gotten totally caught up in it, condemning them, judging them, and all this stuff. And now it's like, to me, they're forgiveness opportunities. Oh my gosh, I find this person, this character on the show completely annoying, whether it's what they're doing, what they're saying, the way they're saying it, whatever it is about them. And it's like, I can look at the reaction. This is literally a story presenting a reaction out of me and then blaming it on the story. And the story is just meant, whether it's through television or whether it's through something in our day-to-day lives, it's what's the reaction and what does that mean? And I had also determined, or discovered rather, over the last year or so, that even the desire to try to find out what these things even mean, like, okay, this trigger came up. Well, what does it mean? I remembered listening to one of Ken's talks, and he would talk about how much the ego loves to study itself. And it was like, ain't that the truth? The ego does love to study itself, and it loves to analyze, right? This that analytical mind. And what a headache that is. I don't have the energy for any of that, right? Um, if it's helpful, if a certain story that shows up in life, if a certain trigger, if I were to pose the question, what is this? What is this like trying to tell me? Um, I no longer I no longer really need the answer. It's I'm posing the question sort of as the pause, but I no longer really need the answer. And another thing that I had noticed, like if I asked for specific guidance and I didn't seem to get any, I had always mistaken that as either I'm still too damaged to hear the Holy Spirit's guidance, or I I don't deserve an answer, right? I'm not worthy. I don't deserve to be helped out in this. And something showed up in my mind, and I think I had heard it somewhere, and then eventually, it wasn't even right then and there, eventually realized it was actually meant for me. If I don't receive guidance, it's because there's nothing I'm supposed to do. And if I don't receive an answer, it's because I'm not really asking the right question, right? So it's kind of that, even not getting what I quote unquote wanted out of this, which would be information or guidance for something specific. I'm slowly now starting to realize, if I'm not getting an answer, it's because it's not really a question. What I'm asking is not really a question. As time goes on, the more, I guess, that gets brought to the truth to be undone, you start to realize that even the things that we seem to specifically want advice or guidance on don't mean anything. It's really just about choose again. And whatever it is that will happen in that moment has already been written, right? So just be open and always be willing to be in attention and to just look at every story as something that's meant to pull a reaction, because it's that reaction that is the charge that keeps the battery going, that powers the projector that's playing out this thing on the screen in front of us. So real quick in the chat. Okay, Mickey, I watched the whole series of Ted Lasso with the course in mind. It's all about forgiveness. Yeah, Mickey, I had heard of Ted Lasso. I've not watched it, but I'm definitely interested in checking that out. And then Bob, ACIM even found spirituality in the body movie Paul. And then Distraction, LOL. I have not heard of the movie Paul, um, but I will definitely look into that. Yeah. So anyway, it seems it's just about 2:30, and I have talked all that time and didn't even really seem to be at a loss for words. Go me. So anyway, let me see. And then Robert just put A Course in Miracles. The idea that our questions are really statements of unbelief appears in the text section where it emphasizes the ego's deceptive nature, specifically chapter 4, section 1. The ego's questions includes the phrase, in conflict, our questions have no answers and our problems have no solutions, but in quietness are all things answered. The questions of the world then are merely declarations of the ideology of the ego. They are but a way of looking, not a question asked. This passage, and that's from circleofa.org, this passage suggests that what seems like honest inquiries are actually expressions of doubt or disbelief. In other words, they're assertions of unbelief in the spiritual truth the Course aims to reveal. Yeah, so it's basically like, I'm going to ask this question or look for this guidance for this specific thing. And the guidance really is, that's not really that's not your focus here. Your focus is, what is this? Right? Simply just bring it to me. Let me look on it with you. Right? And that by insisting on an answer or insisting on guidance, I'm actually defending the illusion. I'm just continuing to make it real. So, and again, that doesn't mean that guidance won't come or that an answer won't come. But I've noticed that answers or insights seem to show up when they're no longer necessary, right? So I could ask a question about something, I don't get the answer right away, but I don't know, several weeks or a month later, maybe I'm doing dishes or vacuuming or what have you, and then a whole flood of insights will show up, and there's a pretty good chance that whatever concern or question I may have had shows up in those insights. But that's more of right-minded echoes coming in as opposed to some kind of a response that makes the problem or the situation real and specific. So anybody else have anything to say before I hand this back to Lynn? Well, okay. I thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Bob. Thank you all very much for being here today.
And thank you, Dana. And I just, I'm so grateful that you're here and that you decided to come on a little bit early. Yeah, and I appreciate everything that you're uh, talking about here. I love, of course, Lucifer. If you ever get a chance, they're on Netflix, Sandman. There's two seasons of it, and only two seasons of it. But it is also the same Lucifer, basically from the Neil Gaiman world universe,
Hmm.
uh, and it's just a different interpretation. So it's pretty cool. Um, it's very, very cool, in fact, Sandman. Beautiful. And then also, Mickey, was it Mickey that mentioned Ted Lasso? I
Yeah.
love Ted Lasso. Oh my God. What a gem. I mean, seriously. Yeah, Mickey, please go ahead.
Yeah, I recently got turned on to that show and I watched, I think it was only over a matter of 3 days that I watched all 3 seasons of that show. And when I watched the last episode of the third season, I immediately went back to season one, episode one, and watched the entire thing all over again. And that was when I really started seeing how much of the course was in there and
Mhm.
how much it really is. It's very subtle. I've seen some other shows where the course comes through a little bit um, more blatantly, but it the amount of times that I saw somebody telling another character to forgive someone was shocking when I started really kind of keeping count on it. And it's the entire theme of the whole show. And it was so profound, the differences that these people went through when they finally, the light bulb went off over their head about forgiveness. It was, I just, I almost started crying. It was so beautiful.
I've cried
Oh,
at Ted Lasso.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing
So,
of beauty. Yeah.
and they're making a new season.
Yes, I heard.
I'm
Yeah,
so
I
excited.
heard, but they're going way off from what it was, so I'm not sure very
Well,
many
they're going to
people.
do it in America, which is going to be different for sure. And I think it's
Yeah,
a girls soccer team or something. He's going to,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's going to be different. But I can't imagine that the spirit of Ted Lasso is going to change, and most of the same people are going to be in it. So,
Oh,
um,
cool.
I'm very excited about her. I'm thinking about her because she's on that Love Boat commercial, which just every time it comes up, I'm like so happy. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Dana, thank you so much.
thank
Um,
you.
so grateful for you being here. And I see Regis in the room. Hi, buddy. Good to see you. All right, we are going to go ahead and close this out then, unless somebody else has something they'd like to share. And what a wonderful day this has been. What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being a son of God. Look at that beautiful rainbow over Pueblo. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, there's our little desert town. Looked like it rained, which is always such a blessing. And behind that rainbow, are you looking at Regis's picture?
Yeah.
Okay, behind that rainbow and those trees are a whole range of mountains, and they are beautiful. And Regis has a birthday coming up very soon, and hoping to be able to get together with him and do something.